I understand that you graduated college at 19 and high school at the age of 16. So given your unconventional high school experience and the fact you've never worked at a high school, why were you interested in coming to Andover and visiting different high schools while you were at Grinnell?
Well, I mean, you know, I have never paid a lot of attention to sort of these sort of arbitrary lines dividing types of knowledge or dividing sort of educational institutions. I took my first college course, I think I was 14 when I took my first college course. I attended University of Michigan in a program where I was sort of going back and forth between undergraduate and medical school. And, you know, I later on went back to graduate school while I was training in medicine. I went back and sort of trained in economics. And so I've never really paid attention to these barriers between communities. I've been on the faculty at a medical school. I've worked at a think tank. I've been at federal agencies. I've been president of a liberal arts college. So I've sort of moved around a lot because I tend to go where my mind leads me, where I think to places that I think will be challenging and interesting and whose mission resonates with me. And that's why I was interested in Andover, and I sort of was honored when the board offered the position to me.
Do you think that as head of school, there are ways in which you can make Andover even more diverse or give students even more access to a range of knowledge and maybe not live within the confines of what the preconceived notion of a high school experience is?
Well, I mean, one, I think already, even historically, the school has sort of blurred lines in lots of ways. One, I was blown away by the array of different courses that are offered at the school, just the range of different areas of knowledge that are pursued. And I think there have always been the school, you know, its involvement with, for example, the AP program, and it's the example of really when they really tried to sort of rethink what was college education and what was high school education, and to advance sort of opportunities. And those are the things that I find stimulating. Institutions like that sort of are already sort of committed to this idea of embracing a range of different types of knowledge and different types of people, different parts of the world, and that's what creates an exciting intellectual environment. And I hope I can contribute to that. But I was impressed that the school already is at an incredible place.
Do you think there was this particular moment during the selection process where you really clicked with Andover?
You know, there was, and I've never mentioned this to anyone else. I was at dinner with a number of board members, and including the outgoing chair, Peter Curry. He was talking about how he had been there as a student and as a parent, but it wasn't until he sort of really got involved as a board member that something different happened, that he really became super committed to the institution and its mission. And something about the way he described that really sort of got me thinking, this must be a special place. Almost everyone that I interacted with who had attended the school at some point said something along the lines of, my connection with this school changed who I was, even though the details varied widely. The consistency in that tone and in saying that at some point this became, unlike other relationships I've had with institutions and communities, into something that was transformative, and that really struck me as being the indication of a remarkable institution.
Do you have an idea of the initiatives that you want to pursue during your tenure as head of school?
You know, I have some ideas, but I really think I have to learn more about the school. It's a big school with a lot of history and a lot of things going on. I will say that one area that I have an interest that I've had and this cuts across almost every role that I've ever played, was I'm really interested in how to reinforce this notion of lifelong learning, that especially in the face of the explosion of knowledge that's happened in the last 50 to 100 years, and that continues to happen every day, how we prepare as institutions and communities, how we prepare, particularly preparing young people for that sort of life of constant learning and relearning and thinking and applying. And that's something that really interests me. So that's a broad area where I would like to have an impact.
Well, I'm also super curious, as someone who has a very unconventional educational background and also someone who has a lot of past experience in the medical field, how do you think that background will impact your perspective as head of school?
Well, it impacts me in lots of ways. One, I think I have a particular sensitivity to this notion of wellness and how important wellness is in a learning community, how to help students develop habits and perspectives and that allows them to learn how to take care of themselves as humans, at the same time that they're responding to pretty demanding roles that they're in various ways. Having to, at a relatively early age, make really complicated decisions that were often on the surface sort of like medical or scientific decisions, but right beneath that really was a layer of moral decision making. The experience at a relatively early age of having to sort of help patients make these decisions really had a big influence on me. I got used to dealing with complicated decisions in which, there was no obvious one right way. Mm-hmm. And I think that's informed everything that I've done as well.
Could you please speak to the gravity of your appointment to this position of leadership, or at least how you think your identity as Andover's first openly gay head of school and the first person of color to ever hold this position?
Well, it's not the first time this has been. It's not the first time that I've been a change from the past. Mm-hmm. I think what it says is it says something about the ability of institutions, good institutions, to sort of adapt and to respond to a changing world. In the not-so-distant past, as a person of color or as an openly gay person, it would have been unthinkable that I'd be in this role. The fact that I'm here, one, reflects all those people who most of whom I will never know of, created change in ways that allowed me to be a person of color and an openly gay person in this type of role. Mm-hmm. So I think about that a great deal. What I hope it shows is sort of how communities and countries and institutions, even when they start off in sort of very closed doors, in many ways, how they can change and evolve and respond to and get better. A professor, a young African-American gay professor, wrote me an email and he said, I always thought that I might want to be a college president. And I didn't think it was possible. But when I see what you've done, I now think it's possible. And so, to the extent that other people can see me and see themselves in me and think, maybe there are more opportunities than I thought about before, that's great. Mm-hmm. So that's the best thing that can happen in acknowledging my identity, is that it can open up the minds of other people in ways that I think we'll all benefit from in the future.
Is there anything else that you would want the Andover community to know?
No, just that I'm delighted to be accepted, and I'm going to work hard to do a good job, and that I'll try to learn from my mistakes.